the links to Sports Channel here, but becoming a member over at Subscribestar, the various other links. So how do I know that we're over target and we're speaking truth to conservatism is the new punk rock? I say that to annoy them. I know it's stupid and cringe, but it's actually true. The left wing were raging against the machine alongside and supported by Bank of America, Klaus Schwab at WEF, George Soros and his Open Borders Foundation, Rothschilds and every financial institution, centralized bank payment processor, online marketplace, and Larry Fink at BlackRock, and then State Street, Vanguard, every major public corporation, financial institution, payment processor at all. We're raging against the machine, and we're supported ever since 2011. Video on my Subscribestar. This is a version of the left wing. We're supported by all those trillions of dollars. Yeah, but you're raging against the machine supported by Larry Fink at BlackRock. Rage Against the Machine. That's right. We're going to work with the FBI. Literally, the band 90s Rage Against the Machine said this. We're going to work with the FBI to track down those peaceful J6 protesters who were peacefully assembled as per their constitutional rights, speaking literal truth to power. We're going to work with the FBI. So what happened to not working with the FBI and the state, the corrupt state, and the corrupt government? Oh, well, there's exceptions. There's exceptions. So now backed by Bank of America, we're going to hand in hand with big tech and the FBI. We're going to track down those people and put them in prison for 20 years. Oh, that's the left wing? The peaceful protesters? That's the modern left wing? Because, I mean, like a few decades ago, you'd be peacefully protesting with them also. No, we're working with the FBI. Literally, the band called Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, FBI, and Soros, and Schwab, and Rothschilds, payment processors. Yeah, we're all teamed up together with big tech to track these people down and put them in prison for 20 years for their peaceful assembly. Yeah, that's right. And you're on the. Are you sure you're on the left wing? Are you sure you're over target because you're not getting any anti-aircraft fire? We are. We're the people who are getting debanked and kicked off payment processors and deplatformed. Are you sure you're raging against the machine, left-wingers? Ever since 2011 and the subversion of the left. You want to know about subversion? Look into the history of the ACLU. You can start with the Skokie, Illinois case, I think, with the right to march, the Hugo Boss guys' right to march. And then the slow subversion of the ACLU where they no longer protect First and Second Amendment issues or Fourth, Fifth, and Eighth Amendment issues if they're for right of center groups or for the wrong type of people. That's how fast the ACLU got subverted in 50 years. Yeah, we're raging. No, you're not. You've been subverted by the worst people on earth. These, we'll call them crap people. Anyway, so Chrissie Mayr and the her Chrissie Mayr. Why does true free speech always seem to lead to being based? I know it's better for Odyssey and BitChute, but when you ask the left, like, hey, do you support free speech? They don't. They flat out don't. They are terrified of free speech, like it's some kind of SCP pocket universe or something. And when they speak truth to power, they mean parrot the talking points that their globalist puppet masters gave them. We speak truth to power, and we lose everything financially related. Oh, that's kind of weird. Yeah, you want to explore that? It's like, no, I don't want to lose my bank account, so I'll be a good cattle debt slave, and I won't speak up. Yeah, that's what being over target is. It's like, how do if you're on the left wing, like, is it possible you're no longer on the left wing and that you've been subverted and corrupted? No, I'm not subverted and corrupted. If I was, my college professor in media would tell me. So let's pay $75 for Chrissie Hugo Boss Final Solution. My grandfather fell out of the guard tower. Mayr plus $20 for drinks, plus a $10 joint, plus some benzos and painkillers, plus parking. Assuming you're going to drive home after that, I guess you should probably take an Uber. So $150 to see the redheaded Nazi who's known for being an offensive right-winger. So you knew all that ahead of time. I mean, you didn't just stumble into a club. This isn't, I don't know, somewhere where you just, like, walking down, Main Street, and there's some headliner, some act, Chrissie Mayr. Oh, $75 tickets. Okay, we'll just kind of fall in there. Yeah, I don't think that's what happened. You bought this stuff ahead of time, and before you bought the tickets on some kind of online market. That is a really rough image, and I suspect I would say something that would have me removed from YouTube. You buy the tickets online, which means like you went looking for the tickets, because she's not a huge name. She's a little name. She's legitimately talented, and if it was a fair system, she would go far, but she's not going to go far. She's gonna be in our community, and that's it, because like we're the only people who believe in people should be free to say what they want. If you don't like it, like, I don't want to shut down somebody's speech. I just won't go see them. oh, no, we need to silence all opposition. Are you sure you're on the left? Or like, was this the left the whole time? And there's an argument to be had there. I know that people in the comments we've had like long conversations. There's a lot of long conversations that go on in the YouTube comments, but they're all hidden. Not by me, it's by YouTube. You do not want to say any hot words because they will hide your comment. Anyway, so you know all this kind of stuff ahead of time when you're going to see, oh yeah, I don't want to. Controversy. Okay, all right. Controversy focusing. This. I don't know if I can. I don't know why I have to refer to them on YouTube. This person is a genius because they created money out of nothing. So congratulations to them for that. So they knew all this kind of stuff ahead of time because they thought that, hey, if I spend $150, it's worth it to virtue signal and to go on, like, to wait for the one thing that's mildly that they can find offensive. And if Chrissie Mayr didn't do that joke, they would be pissed. They'd be like, dude, we spent $150 for all the drugs, the booze, and the tickets to sit here, and she didn't do the joke that I was prepared to be offended about. That would be the real joke. Like, the joke ahead of time would be to carefully scan the audience, or have someone go through the audience for you and like map out the audience ahead of time. That would be freaking hysterical. And go ahead of time, like send them a little card ahead of time, like, hey, I know you guys are SJWs. Like, I just know it. I can tell. So here's the joke. It's going to be 15 minutes in, and this is where you can be outraged. That would be... Anyway, so how do you do politically correct comedy? There's no punchline to that line. You just don't do it. And the left wing is absolutely okay with that because they're Bolsheviks. They're globalists. How many times do we have to say this? So there's a lot to laugh at with the left, but the left says that you can't because they are, insert all the Frankfurt School, Saul Alinsky, the Bolshevik hot words there. That's why Saturday Night Live is what it is. It's just an echo chamber, confirmation bias to say things that wealthy liberals and gated communities agree with, as long as it's not in their Martha's backyard. So Chrissie Mayr is a stand-up girl. She hangs in the right-wing Comicsgate, Phantom Menace side of the world. So the media calls her a far right-wing comedian, which unfortunately, let's get to Twitter, unfortunately is not true. Emily Yukis might be a far right-wing comedian, and she is legitimately talented herself. But Chrissie's just pretty politically speaking, middle of the road, that she is legitimately talented. And if this was 2015, she'd be a star at a much, much bigger level. She'd be at, like a household name. She'd have her own TV show back when TV was a thing. She is legitimately funny, which is weird for a woman. And that's not offensive to say that because female comedians are going to be the first to admit that, yeah, most women are not funny. I mean, it's just the way of biology. Like, you can take the funniest women, like, who are well known online, and on TV and movies and stuff, the top 10 funniest women. You can find Cecil on YouTube is spontaneously funnier than the best female comedians on earth. Cecil's funny. He's legitimately a funny guy, but he's not as funny as the best male comedians, but he's still funnier than the best female comedians on earth. And I'm not saying that because I like the guy. I mean, you can listen to, there's probably a bunch of other YouTubers who are legitimately, like, you go like, oh, these guys could write. Like, if these guys were writing Sarah Silverman's material, Sarah Silverman would actually be funny. And she, like, when in her prime, she wasn't funny. She was skinny with giant boobs. She had a little girl's voice, and she was talking about dirty stuff. That was why people were on board with her. She was never funny. Like, if you listen to her stuff and you transcribe her stuff, her delivery wasn't good, and the stuff she was saying actually wasn't funny. It's like you go, oh, she's just skinny with huge jugs and a little girl's voice. That's why people were on board with her. I always thought she was a fucking weirdo. And then I read her book. I'm like, oh, she's deranged. She wrote one book, and Chelsea Handler wrote a half dozen. Like, Chelsea Handler's legitimately funny, even though politically she's out of her mind. But I can admit, yeah, she is legitimately talented. Sarah Silverman's just mentally ill. Like, she's got deep, deep issues. Anyway, so yeah, I don't think my original title for this would be accepted on YouTube. Chrissie Mayr has a solution to permanence to this pernicious problem, but, phrase it a little bit differently. So years ago, I started paying attention to this Bolshevik takeover. I thought, oh, stand-up comedy is going to have to be one of the first things that gets, removed. You just can't have it. I was watching a lot of stand-up on YouTube, and years ago, back when that stuff was allowed, most of those videos now are all missing. There were thousands of videos that seem to have magically disappeared off of YouTube when Google bought it. And when Trump got elected, they started cracking down. And they said, oh, we got rid of 20,000 far right-wing extremist channels that helped Trump get elected. It's like, isn't that election interference? Like, yes, it is, but what are you going to do about it? Like, well, I'm not going to do anything, but our representatives surely, oh, you sweet summer child. Yeah, hold your breath waiting for your representatives. Like, what are your representatives doing? They're counting the money that they skimmed off of the money that's going to other countries. So that the taxpayer money. Yeah, they're just... So they're like, I can't help but notice our representatives are worth sometimes, over $50 million. Yeah, they got that through breaching their duty of due care, their fiduciary duty to you, the taxpayer, by engaging in crimes of moral turpitude, by stealing your money. Yeah, maybe the corrupt FBI will go after the corrupt legal system, and the corrupt media will focus on the corrupt FBI and our corrupt government. There's no political solution to this, is there? No, not at this point. Four militias. Anyway, remember Fahrenheit 451? The modern day digital book burnings is here. Things just kind of disappear, and they go like, oh no, it was always like this. They control the past, you control the future. Things just magically disappear. I wonder if, I know 1984 is like Animal Farm, Brave New World. Those are all in school libraries for sure, but are they taught in schools as part of the literature course? Or do they just kind of skip over 1984 these days and Fahrenheit 451? Or is it just Jamal's got 3 dads and monkeypox? Anyway, so stand-up comedy pre-2016 Trump derangement syndrome, mostly poke fun at right-wing blonde people. It was stupid. Like 99% of stand-up comedy is really fucking stupid. Even back then. But it was a little bit more balanced. Every once in a while, they would switch from a 30-06, like a sniping, to a grenade approach that goes in all directions. Like they would catch people unaware. And they do this by using the South Park method, where you start by destroying, Catholics and blonde people in Orange County and Republicans and whatever. Like this was back then, like some kind of vicious stuff where you lead the audience down the garden path to accepting that they're laughing at, Catholics and being a little cruel about it. And they accept that concept, and then you switch to blacks, Jews, Asians, whatever, and then the audience finds that even funnier because they know that you fooled them. And it was it's like a little lesson learned, but it was also kind of a gentle way to say, like, hey, if one thing's acceptable, all things are acceptable. Those days are long gone. And when 2016 hit, comedians lost their freaking minds, and that's when comedy switched from looking for laughs to looking for applause. It was 4 years of Trump and his supporters and Fox News, and Charlottesville was somewhere in there, and now after 2020, it's all the J6 kind of nonsense. And then right-wing people just stopped going to stand-up because it became openly a left-wing thing. And you go, oh, so there's a few right-wing comedians. Chrissie Mayr's one of them. And then there's this that old Italian guy who's on YouTube. I can't remember his name. But I mean, there's like a handful of people who they're not exactly right-wing, but they believe in the concept. Like they're true liberals. They believe in the concept of going for everybody. And that's just like, oh, no, you can't have those. So we can't have a half a dozen right-of-center comedians, or even just liberal libertarian comedians. We can't have that. You have to shut those people down. Yeah, that's right. Even the Owen Benjamin. I know a lot of people hate him, but like he says things he's not supposed to say. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to deplatform him and censor him, and all these other comedians. They all have to be destroyed. So we can't have speech, but you guys can. Yeah. Your speech is hate speech, and our speech is acceptable speech. So if we were in power, would you still believe in the concept of hate speech? No, because then, no, of course not. Yeah, but I mean, if you believe in the principles of just free speech and allowing people to, like, if you just don't like the speech, you just don't go see it, don't see these comedians. Yeah, we don't believe in those principles. We're authoritarians the whole time. Like, the left wing, what do you think the bomb-throwing Bolsheviks have been since 1914? They have always been these authoritarians. Like, if they have to remove 100 million people and fertilize the fields to have a Klaus Schwab Brave New World society, a better society, they'll absolutely do it. And I can tell you ahead of time that those 100 million people are going to look suspiciously like you. Anyway, so this redheaded Hugo Boss out of Aryan Central Casting does her stand-up, and she mentions the bug guy. And she says, well, if she was getting her stuff done, she'd get herself at least trying to look the part. The thing is, it was mildly funny, but it was mild. It was very gentle. Like, she did not have a cruel bone in her body. She was trying to... Here's the thing about equality. It means treating people equal. It's not equity, which is the Frankfurt School, stuff. Equality means you treat people equally. It means when it's your time to get made fun of, you just kind of like, all right, well, then, you went after Catholics and blonde-haired, blue-eyed people and conservatives in Orange County and Trump. It's like, okay, now you're gonna have to go down the list and go after everyone else. It's like, no, that's unacceptable. It's like, but it's not. If one thing's acceptable, if it's on the table, then it's on the table. The thing is, if you weren't looking to get offended, you know that Chrissie was being very, very gentle with what she was saying. But when you say that, the alt-left just can't handle it. That stops them, and they start whining about marginalizing the press, and it's all just this Bolshevik nonsense. And you break it down, you ask them, so let me get this straight. Gays, trans, Jews, Muslims, disabled, every race on earth except for Europeans, obviously, and maybe Russians. But so what jokes are left on the table? It's like, well, blonde man bad, Christians bad, Republicans, that's literally it. And when you tell it to these SJWs and you tell them that comedy's got to be free, they just don't get it because they fundamentally do not want comedy. Even if, they paid $150 just to sit there and be offended, wait for their time to be offended. The role of the court jester is to tell society where the pressure is building, to point out the absurdity of what society is dealing with, so hopefully people can kind of, address these issues. But, what we're doing with now is there is no pressure release valve, so things are just building up. It's like it doesn't have to go this direction, but it is, unfortunately. So you really want to get the home garden prepping, fishing rods, and plenty of bait. Anyway, so it's the easiest thing in the world to get on stage and talk about the orange Cheeto, but it takes balls to go off on the BLT or other protected class. I did a couple of prepping videos on Subscribestar. So Chrissie is talking about her dick, the dick she doesn't have, and these 5 giant women start losing their minds over it, and they finally get up and leave, and somebody said the occupancy opened up by 12, which is accurate. Then they go whine to the manager, and they knock over the table where Chrissie is selling her t-shirts. It's like, oh, mindless destruction of someone else's property. Yeah, that's right. Why didn't you just not go to the show? Because, we're 300 pounds. We have nothing else to focus on in this first world why more problem situation. It's like, buddy, in the very short future, you're going to have much more serious problems to focus on. And you're going to wish you weren't 300 pounds when that stuff starts kicking off. Because Chrissie was speaking words on stage at a comedy club. The words that she spoke got these women offended, and they were fat, which is actually relevant. It's not just me being a dick. Because when you're good looking and slim, you're generally much happier. You've got a partner. You're getting laid. You can see your dick. The obesity is part of what is going on because it makes people miserable, which is a problem. Because in case you haven't been paying attention, there are a lot of fat, angry SJWs who feel the need to go pay anywhere from $50 to $200 for some show that they can go be offended for because they know that Chrissie Hugo Boss Mayr is going to say something that will allow them to virtue signal about something that they pretend to care about. Like, the most important thing, you're going to have to watch your little clip. You see these women, they're really, really big. The thing is, the most important thing they have to worry about is, you're going to have to eat less and start exercising. That's the only issue in your universe right now. It should be. It's like, if you're addicted to heroin, that's the most important thing. You have no other issues other than getting off that stuff right now. And for these women, their issue is obesity, but they don't want to deal with that, so they take up every other cause on earth so they can stay distracted from the obesity issue. It's like, that's why it's relevant. I'm not just being a dick. And, they probably missed out on Dave Chappelle because those tickets were in the thousands of dollars, so they found big black cock Chrissie and decided they just waddle over, take a brave stand, and just act like assholes. People go to the show because they want to see Chrissie. So these land whales went about knowing, oh, you didn't know who Chrissie Mayr was? Oh, well, no, we just accidentally stumbled across a website and accidentally put down our credit card for $100 tickets, plus Uber, parking, weed, drugs, and drinks, and all that kind of stuff. And then you walk around, destroy the merchandise table, and virtue signal, and then kind of waddle outside, avoiding harpoons. It's like, yeah, you just kind of randomly came across Chrissie Mayr. It's like, no, well, we looked up the one out of maybe a dozen comedians who were politically incorrect comedians, true, not the controlled ops Bill Maher type of political. Listen to Bill Maher. It's like, I can't help but notice you're called politically incorrect, but everything you've said is Puppet Master approved. So where does the un-PC stuff go? We're not going to talk about the marginalized and oppressed and disenfranchised, and so you're called politically incorrect? It's like, it's just for the normies to feel good about. It's like, why they watch Saturday Night Live? Is it comedy? No. What is it? It's programming. I guess that's what it is. Go watch. You can go sail high seas for Saturday Night Live stuff. It's just programming. It's all this stuff is. The white pill for a lot of this stuff is we do finally have an alt media is starting to come up where we can put out a counter narrative. And no, it's not happening on YouTube, but it is happening. Subscribestar, Odyssey, BitChute, and all those other kind of platforms. Anyway. Click the links. You can check out Chrissie Mayr on various platforms. If you punch her name into any kind of search engine, she'll come up because she's a far right wing extremist comedian. or not, or just the window has shifted so far to the left that her very, very mild. Like, to me, she's not far right wing. Emily Eucas is far right wing. Legitimately, yes. Emily Eucas is a funny girl, far right wing, comedian, musician. Oh, well, no. Chrissie Mayr is far right wing, but Emily Eucas is extreme far. It's just nonsense. Like, so who's middle of the road right wing comedians? Who's middle of the road right wing? And they name some left wing person. It's like that. No, but right wing person. Tucker Carlson's literally Hugo Boss. Oh, what about Andrew Anglin? Well, he's extra. Okay, it's just nonsense. Like, you're saying there's no spectrum. It's just if the right of Mao or Marx and Engels, then you're just like far right wing. That's the what is that matrix, the four corner diagram. It's like you have this tiny left wing authoritarian corner. Everyone else is far right wing Hugo Boss. Like, that's their worldview. It's like, yeah, my college professor in the media told me that this is accurate. You ever think that maybe you're sitting at the table and you're being the mark? You like, you feel strings. Is it time to cut the cord? No, the Matrix was actually made by these people, and they were trying to. Well, I think the Matrix was made by William Gibson with Mona Lisa Overdrive and a bunch of other books. I mean, he did with Keanu Reeves again. It was called Johnny Mnemonic. So William Gibson wrote a bunch of those books talking about this dystopian future. The Matrix. It wasn't the Matrix. It was kind of loosely based on those types of books. And there's a bunch of other books. The guy who wrote, it was a book that Piers Anthony, Total Recall, was rewritten by Piers Anthony and later made into a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it was written by, I think, Philip K. Dick, and it was called We Can Remember It For You, wholesale short story. And it was a quick, fun, light story. But like all those books, all those science fiction, the great Pulp Fiction, which you can find online for absolutely free. All that stuff was putting these ideas out in the universe. And like 1984, To Serve Man, it's a cookbook. It's a fucking cookbook. So 1984, Fahrenheit 451, it's like, those are instruction manuals? No, they're supposed to be warnings. They're instruction manuals. Yeah. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next episode.